What's going on, guys? Obviously, we have the brand new card coming into the game, and if you guys don't know, one of the things that I like to do when they release new cards, I won't be doing it for the other card because it's, I don't know, self-explanatory, but this card, this lovely card that they have released, it's called the Soul Cleave. As it reads, I'll probably pop it up on the screen. As it reads, basically you kill a unit and then you summon 2 ephemeral copies of that unit. It could be any unit. So champions, we have to consider champions, we have to consider units. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going here, filtering all the units so we don't have to see any spells, and I'm going to go region by region, which will be in the chapters, so you can check every single region of what will be really cool to see and kind of explain the deck. This might be a longer video, so please, if you guys enjoy the type of content, like, comment, and subscribe, because we're about to have a lot of fun. This is about to be a lot of fun. So let's go, like I said, region by region. It will be timestamped, so you can skip to the region that you want to look at. I'm going in alphabetical order just so it's easier to find what you're looking for. So boom, we're gonna start in Bandle City. Cannon. Cannon's obviously really good, is because what are you summoning? 3 marks. You summon him, and I'm gonna basically on the what I'm saying using the Soul Cleave. I'm also gonna trying to say like, okay, you play the unit and then you use the Soul Cleave on it mostly. That's kind of what most people are looking and aiming to do. Obviously, if the card's been on the field for like 6 years and then you Soul Cleave it or whatever, I guess that's cool too. But we're talking about impact of stuff. So like you play this, right? And then you summon it automatically, boom. You get 3 Mark of the Storms. You get 3 progression for him as well. Then if depending on the board state or the, I guess the time frame that you do it, and how much mana you have, you could black frame one of the other cannons. You could actually use it on a ephemeral cannon that was already out, and that's another thing I think I don't know if people are talking about. So that's kind of nuts, right? So I think that cannon is going to be super strong with it. You have to run cannon Shadow Isles, so it could be Ionia Shadow Isles or Bandle City Shadow Isles. But I do think that this card is going to be really good for this archetype. So I think cannon is going to be super strong, and I'm only focusing on cards I think are going to be strong, by the way. I actually think something like Teemo would be pretty good. Depending on if you actually have another Teemo in hand. Reason being is because of the Nexus strike, obviously, right? So depending on especially if he's leveled already, that could be a strong strike against the Nexus if they don't have anything to stop elusives. And one thing that I also want to mention, and I should have mentioned it in the intro part of it, is that things with low health like this are susceptible to being removed before the thing triggers. Soul Cleave is a slow speed spell, so it does have interaction, so it's not like a burst speed thing, which would make it a nightmare. So yeah, just thought I'd mention that as well. Next up, now I want to mention Tristana, but not using it on her. I am thinking that if you use it on another unit that is multi-region, I think that would actually be really strong for her. It will help level her up really quickly, and then maybe accelerate her win con a little bit quicker. And Shadow Isles, Tristana with Atrocity has been a thing in the past, so I do think that Tristana, and now she has impact on her base kit, right? But she gets impact every time. Yeah, grant me and something else impact. So this could accelerate her impact really, really fast. So I just wanted to mention that as well. I do think that might be pretty cool. And also because, remember, you are killing a unit and getting 2 ephemeral units, so those units will also be dead. So using it on something else, not the champion, is pretty cool in my opinion for something like Tristana. Let's talk about the boy. Shadow Isles and Heimerdinger have been in cahoots for a long time. Now, obviously, once again, like I said when I said in another champion, I don't think it's actually going to be like on Heimerdinger, but what if you use it on one of his turrets? The way that he levels up, I've seen plus 2L power of tech allies, right? Tech allies could actually, is that like a super change? Because tech allies, there are like a couple units that are tech, but obviously they're doing most of the things here. So if you were to use it on, let's say this, because this is automatically generated, the Apex turret is generated when you use the Soul Cleave, so you could play it. Well, actually, it would be in a different order. Anyway, so let's say you use it on the Evolution turret. You have the Evolution turret here, so you get 2, and then it summons another 2, so now you're up to 6. How much do you need? I think it's 12, right? So if you have any of the other ones, it's obviously you played it, so 4, 2 more times, and then it's 12. So you don't actually have to like break the bank to get him to level, and I think that's just an interesting thing I wanted to point out. And yes, I'll be doing the champions first and then going into the other cards later. And it's going to be a little bit rough for a lot of this because like some of these cards, like let's say the bird, right? Bird would be nice because like it's multiple chimes you get put on the top of the deck instantly, but then you lose your 1-drop. I don't know. Same thing, but here I'm looking at like Scrappy Bomb. You would fill your board almost instantaneously. But let's look for some gems instead of just like little small things. I'd say. Chief Nakotak. Only thing I would want to see with this, I'm pretty sure that when you transform a unit, it does still keep ephemeral. So actually, let me test that real quick because that could be nuts or it could be nothing. All right, nice. I was able to get this relatively quickly. So obviously, I'm going to transform the Pesky Scepter here, who has ephemeral, into the lovely thing here, and see if it loses the keyword here. If it loses that, then if it does do that, that'd be really strong. Then I can add all the little transform cards in. Oh, I did not think it worked like that. I did not know that. Oh. Oh, damn. That actually opens up a completely different... Oh. Oh, Ooh. Ooh, damn. So, Transform is in the building. Bandle City. Obviously, because the Soul Cleave is spell mana, right? And then in the transform decks that I run, I would obviously just copy. I would obviously take one of the Nakotaks that is turning into something, and I could turn it into a Chief Nakotak that does not have that, or I could turn it into a completely different unit. And you know, now I have units like for 3 mana, I summon 2 units that I could use in any way, shape, or form that I want. So I just thought that that's interesting. Not to say that it's going to be good, but it is interesting that you can do that. Or even something like this. I think the Curious Changeling would be better for that, right? I make 2 more. So I take 1, I kill 1, make 2 more, and then transform something after that with my unit mana. And then boom, I have a way bigger board of something, which is kind of nuts. The Team Maker is also one that I think is pretty good because it helps Nora, right? It puts a portal when it's summoned, and then if you kill it and then summon 2 other ones, you get 2 more portals on top of that. Plus the 2 Team Makers also count towards Nora as well. So I definitely think you will see a Nora-based Shadow Isles deck because she can level really quickly with that card. Same thing that's going to be here. This is another reason why I wanted to test that. So it says, when I'm summoned, if you summon a Thunder Fist this game, transform me into Masa Crashing Thunder. So this card would turn into a 5/5. So on turn 3 with 3 mana backed up, you summon a Thunder Fist and then you use the cleave on it. The second one at least, I think the second one should do that. The second one should turn, both of them should turn into that, make a 5/5 with impact. How much impact? Just 1, right? Yeah, that's kind of nuts. That's kind of nuts. If you want to be a scumbag, Aloof Travelers, it's pretty good. Maybe there's a Shadow Isles. It doesn't even have to, because this is a PNZ card too, so you can maybe run some type of infinite. I know that they had the, what is it? Not Ruination, the Harrowing Aloof Travelers deck. That sounds like it could be pretty fun. The Allegiance cards. Now, Allegiance reads, when you summon this, it gets Allegiance bonus if the top card of your deck matches the region. Now, obviously, if you're running, you'd have to run a pure thing but I'll have to keep in mind when I'm looking at the other Allegiance cards that technically Allegiance would trigger. And if it doesn't, like this one, you just summon a follower. If the top card is that, then you would summon 2 of the same, Allegiance would proc both times, right? So you would summon it, get the Allegiance proc, which you would then know at that point it is safe to go for it, and then that would be pretty cool. Tilted Road Maker. Stilted. See, people told me this is a dude because it has a beard. I don't know. Or is it just furry? I don't know. Anyway, that one, obviously, if you did it on this one, boom, you need to do anything else. The Stilted Road Maker, boom, all your darkness now cost 0 with 1 spell. Fantastic. Now, another thing I would need to test. Oh, should I go back and test this? So this is round N. Ephemeral also is round N. So if I were to make multiple copies of this with the oh, I gotta test this too. I gotta test. So like this should be interesting, right? Like I never even thought to do this. No, okay, so it does get ephemeral. So I have to transform that into something else and then it would work. Gotcha. Alright, moment of truth. So this thing is going to trigger. I hit the Nexus. So round N, it should transform. I think it's going to still die because it itself has ephemeral, like I just showed, so it should still die. But I wonder if it transforms first though. And then it died. Okay. Still somewhat relevant because now when I revive this, it's actually going to be the big guy. But then his round start stuff doesn't work. But then I could if I transform that into something else, it wouldn't work either. Guess it's not as good as I thought it was. Moving on. So basically, Pythagorean theorem states that basically you would have to have the card, the ephemeral card, and then have something else. It transforms into something that doesn't have ephemeral. So if the card itself has ephemeral and then it transforms, it doesn't matter. It will transform, but it will still then die. But it's cool to see that it goes in that order. Tenor of Terra is not that bad because when it's summoned, if you play to create a card or killed a unit with a spell this game, you would summon the thing. So it would technically summon a big board of nonsense. Makes me think of, I don't know, like Void Gate or something like that. Like the stack impact like crazy because each Tenor of Terra would summon another one so that you'd be passing so much impact into the deck. But that just seems very cheeky, but hey, you know, we got to talk about it. Living Library's not that bad. Rizu, obviously not that bad, because for each one, you summon that, and then each one then summons a 7/3 with impact. Or you could use it on the Storm Cloud itself, and then you'd have two other ones. That seems like more of a game ender right there, but still an option. I actually would think that Ava Achiever also would be a game ender. So you use it on an Ava Achiever, and then you make them draw. But then those two region combinations I don't think make people draw. So Bandle City and Shadow Isles. But still, no, it's not good. It's not good. Meduli! I know you guys are waiting for me to get to this point, but yes, Meduli would be phenomenal, right? Meduli would be great. You get it doubles. The first one doubles, then the second one doubles that one, then the second, like, it's Meduli, obviously a great option. I think the Arsenal would also be like a kill. The two regions don't make any sense, but it would be some type of kill shot. All right, we're done with Bandle. Took a while, but we got a lot of the kinks out with Bandle City as well, as far as testing stuff. Now let's go up to Bligewater. Now, are there any champions that we would like to see with this? No, it doesn't look like it. Maybe Gangplank? I don't know. Most of these characters don't really benefit from being multiplied in that fashion, so does not seem so. Dread Dredges I like. I like Dread Dredges because of hyper toss. That's a 9 toss. It tosses and you use it on top of it, and that's 9 cards that this thing tossed, and then it died itself. So Maokai might be really good. Maybe that's why they buffed Maokai, gave him a little more attack, so people just not enough to change him, but to just make people aware that he exists. Maybe that's what that was. I like Coral Creatures. I like Dreadwave Deckhand. That's a lot of Powder Keg. And Bilgewater and Shadow Isles is really good because it is like a poke region. Like the Powder Kegs and all the healing spells and stuff like that, like the damage spell, Withering Whale, stuff like that, Go Hard, could work together pretty strongly, I think. Are we going into pirate aggro with a twist of this? Like you summon this to get a bunch of 1-cost followers? I doubt it, but it's funny to think about it though. Now this card I definitely think is going to be pretty cool. I think that because it's summon, I improvise, so you get a couple weapons. It's like a weapon accelerator, but I just thought I'd mention it. I don't think it's that good though. Mariah Great Mother would technically work. Yes. Yes it would. Megatus, going back into the deep deck that I think I was just telling you guys about, I actually think this would be pretty cool. Because each one that summons will heal your allies in your Nexus. Though you usually want to keep this guy alive, but if you do need the heal 6, or potentially that's 9, heal 9, but yeah, and then swing for a big attack, that's not too far out the option. Like a lot of the times I don't think anyone was thinking about just general use of like big attack or healing or stuff like that. And now Allen Navigator, no. That spray thing I like because that's 3 cards, right? You get you play it, summons, it also attunes, helps you get it, and then you can play the Soul Cleave and then get more cards in your hand. Depending on what kind of deck you're running, I do think that that's not that bad. Warning Shot in a predominantly, again, Bilgewater thing, you would nab 1 and then Warning Shot. So this could be some type of hyper level of Twisted Fate or some sort. I could see that. And this is where I was hoping. I was like, yes, where is it? I wonder if you can go Shadow Owls and Shadow Owls Alawi, and one is for the Buru Lookout, right? That is a 9 spawn 9 pretty much, which sounds insane, right? That sounds like it's pretty crazy. But obviously, once I get down to Nakagaboros, we're gonna talk about that when I see it, because it's the new version of Nakagaboros. Avatar of the Tides, no. We'll talk about you later. We'll talk about cards like Steam later. When I get to Evelyn, I want to talk about all the husks, because it's actually insane how that works. This is pretty good, because you summon, create the other ones, and they'll then summon and get you more cards that can help you out with a win con. Plus, this is probably going to cost 0, or obviously much less than 6 when you get to it. So I definitely think that that's going to be really, really good. Shipwreck Quarter is not that bad. Using it on a... Ooh, what about using Soul Cleave? And this is the first time because Bandle City doesn't have a boat. What if you use it on the boats? Not the Siren, obviously, because that you're never going to run that. But it would be a pretty strong push, right? Because you'd have 2... You don't care about the Siren itself. But you'd have 2 of them on the field. And while I'm attacking, you attack with the Scout. And then Misfortune triggers or something like that. But you also have now all your 3 copies of your champion. I'm curious of how that would work, but obviously there's better ships than this one. Now, Nakagaboros, I think, is pretty crazy, because now with the new change, it's going to be on summon, right? So if you do have the big super souped up one and then you play 3 of them, you would then get 3 Nakagaboros Tantrums in the hand. Now, I actually was watching Grappler stream, and Nakagaboros has to survive, which that's where it's 8 health is. You obviously, the opponent, if they know, they'll try to kill this card, right? They'll try to kill it before it gets off, I don't know, 3 of these, but they'll have a hard time blocking, because it's only going to trigger if at least 12 power of the like things, and that's what's going to be crazy, right? So you'd have to fight off three attacks, most likely having to block the tentacles that it summons. So again, more of a kill shot thing, but also you could use it if the tentacle will get plus 12 in the 2nd or 3rd summoning of Nakagaboros. So there's that as well, because you do have to pick one of them, right? So you have one, you use it first, and then you use the Soul Cleave on it, right? And then you'd have to use it on one of them, and then you do it again and use it on another one. So like, it's definitely a game-ending play, 11 mana game-ending play. But yeah, still pretty strong in my opinion. Then we have Dreadway, which is another one that I was thinking about. What if you use it on this ship, right? So double all the damage, it would be doubled twice. You wouldn't have much mana after that, so I think it would be the turn 9 play, basically. But that's a lot of damage. You're quadrupling almost, like you're doubling, then doubling again the damage. I feel like that could be, there has to be some type of OTK that can do it. So you play Dreadway, then the next turn you have a lot of mana. Even like your warning shots would be doing crazy damage. If there's any type of kegs out there, oh, that has to be disgusting. I would love to see that. That sounds good. And we're already 2 regions deep, and there's just so many weird, funny combos that you could think of, right? All right, now we're going into Demacia. Yeah, I was thinking, like, I think the only one I could think of is possibly Vayne. Possibly Vayne. That you're gonna want to use it on. Lucian, I'll just mention in general, like, to use it not on Lucian, but to use it on something else. Especially something else that summons something else, would be pretty good. I think that would be obviously Lucian with in Shadow Owls, and then you use it on like a Husk generator. I think that will be very strong for Lucian. Yes, he's going to be a little bit smaller, but the rally and buffing him up obviously is what they intend for you to do. And people were like, oh, how could he survive? Zoe sometimes survives for a long time, and it's just, do you want to protect Lucian? Is he that worth protecting? And I think that going forward he might be. So yeah, there's that. Dawn Speakers I'll just mention because technically like other cards will be strong with it. Like you use it on something, it dies, and then Dawn Speakers will buff what you didn't use it on. I thought I'd just mention it. I'd be curious if it auto works on the Vanguard Redeemer. That sounds like something that should work. You use it on it, and then you get 2 units in hand. Could be really cool in a non-unit focus deck, so it's drawing a specific card. But just thought I'd mention it. Combat Cook is really good, like for the other one, like I said. You summon it, and improvise and forge me. I think that that's really cool. Like I think that would be obviously like, because it's forging improvised weapon, then you get another one. He has 1, and then you get 2 other ones afterwards. So you have 3 weapons that are at least forged. And then, like I said, this is a weapon master, so the Jack Stacks gets even stronger. Yada yada. Now this is the type of thing that I'm thinking about. Like, so Vanguard Bannerman, right? Like, could you do a huge push with this card? You lose the Bannerman, you get 2 versions of it, but each allegiance will proc, and then like it would be like super strong. Like I think that it would be insanely strong on a really big push, depending on what other units are on the board. But you're using this in a mono, basically a mono Demacia deck, and you do a big push. That's a turn, not even turn 7, but it's turn 4. You've been putting all these little minion, little small guys, or possibly turn 5, whatever, with bank mana. You play this, boom, boost up the whole field. You play the Soul Cleave on it, boost up the field twice. Could be something crazy. Could be something crazy with that, I think. Now, I'm looking at the Blood Curse Harpy because it's something that we do have to think. Now it says, kill an ally to do this. So it's one of those times where you're gonna wonder if the ally doesn't die for some reason, does it work? Like this would be cool, right? Because you would get 2 Blood Curse Harpies while keeping this one alive. But I think it does read like the card has to die. There's a lot of cards that like Glimpse Beyond, if you were to use that on a card and it didn't die for some reason, I think you don't get to draw 2. So I'm assuming it works like that. So, but if it doesn't, like cards like this would be great. Like cards that pretty much keep themselves alive. Obviously, when we get to Anivia, that's going to be a good thing because you don't care if it dies. But thought I would mention that as well. Another good target here because of it boosting up. Same thing I said earlier. If you're trying to be cheeky, but in Freljord, not in Freljord, Shadow Isles can get this card out, right? Could get this card out a little bit early. Double others power in their health and grant them Challenger. There is ways to cheese this card out, so could be a thing. Could be a thing. Oh baby, we're in Freljord. We are now in the depths of the absolute hell. I actually like Udyr. Udyr would actually no, because he gets the stance swap. Like you'd have to have none in your hand, then you get another one. Kind of trash. Obviously, Anivia, I don't even want to spend too much time on it. I mean, boy, like you get 3 eggs, and like I was saying in the comment, it does sound crazy, right? But then what if people just start to run removal, right? There's so much, like Withering Wail is 1, the Caustic Rift is 1, it's the one. Hold on, I forgot where it was. This thing, Fracture, deal 1 to everything. So the egg, I think, to a certain extent, people are going to tech against it. They're not going to let you just do this all day if the deck becomes super popular, right? The only thing that stops that is going to be if you Spirits Unleashed first. And this is obviously a later game in the combo, unless you do use the Reduce to Oblivious Islander and get this card out. Same thing I'm going to have to say about Trendemir. Trendemir, if I would die, same thing I just said in the last card, like the Curse Harpy. Does it still work? Do you get 3 Trendemirs because he technically doesn't die? Or does it not work like that? If it does, woohoo! That's busted as hell. You get 3 Trendemirs, they're all leveled up. That's a win con right there. That's a turn 8, 11 mana death play. They're probably dead at that point. So yeah, that would be phenomenal. And I would think even a little bit easy. Anivia is a little bit earlier, but you still have to get Enlightened to do that. So you have to run some ramp, which we'll get to in a second, I'm sure. So let's keep progressing. There it is, the Hunting Boar. Interesting because the Last Breath, you kill it once and then you summon 2 ones that are going to die regardless of what the opponent has to say about it. The only option that they have if you do this is for them to just kill it and you still get the +1. You lose, I guess, Mana Tempo, that's about it. But if it does go through, you get +3 mana, and I think the only way before that you were getting that was the 8 cost card. Again, let me go to spells. It's just funny, I keep doing this. I think this one gives 8, right? Sorry, 3. No, this one gives 2. So for 6 mana, you can get 3 in comparison to this one where you get 2. So very, very strong with that. I think that has to be definitely mentioned. And I think that ramping, if you guys don't remember, your boy, one of my more popular videos was ramp. I called it Ramp Darken, pretty much to ramp up it to have the Utterling Devastation, whatever. To have it as an online option quicker than my opponent would know what to do. It kills all their cards and keeps equipped units and what's online, which is pretty crazy, right? Like, so it was it's like having a really fast Ruination that actually keeps some of my units alive in comparison to his. So I do like that a lot. So I definitely would want to see that ramp. That ramp deck should be really, really good. Legions, I just want to mention it each time. That's good. Battling Burke. Draw a unit with 5 power. Could be instant Viego, depending on how you build your deck, right? Could get all 3 Viegos straight up in your hand, and then your opponent has to deal with killing 3 of them. So could be a crazy little play. Fabled Poro. I do think that that's for the Poro deck. I think that that's the thing. I think that that's something cool that could happen. Specifically because, you know, that's a lot of keywords, and then, you know, it's Shadow Isles has a ways to make other copies, so could be a thing. Not exactly sure. Avarosian Hearthguard, of course, you know, that's a +3 to all the things in there. Of course, we're gonna get the Revna, and people are like, I'll just use that one, right? I'm pretty sure that's how that's gonna go. Revna, the Lord Keeper, of course, of course, of course. Now, it's not an exact copy, so if you were to use it on one that has a bunch of stats, it doesn't matter. So you will just essentially give your whole deck +4 for a 9-mana play on turn 6. But like I said, you could cheapen this and maybe get to play it earlier with the Oblivious Islander. That's always an option. So this could be a realistic thing because you have ramp, right? And if you do use what the hell is it? If you do lower this, or if you do the boar play, right? You get the boar and you summon it on turn 6, and it's actually turn like you get +3. So you summon Revna on turn 4, right? On turn 4, and then you could also then the next turn after that kill her and then summon it, and then your deck is pretty much unbeatable, which makes cards like this this thing actually worth it. I do think ramp will be very popular. Then we have the Rhymefang Wolf, Rhymefang Den Mother, sorry, and you be summoning technically 3 big boys, which I do think that this will be a pretty good target in a Frostbite focused deck. So there's going to be that. I think I definitely like that. So Doi Huindor. When I'm summoned, grant me +1 for each ally that has died. This is obviously an OTK. You're looking to have a big overwhelm unit, and there's 2 of them, and they have to deal with it immediately, or else they die. So I do think that that's something that is pretty cool. I don't think you're going to be using it on that as much as some of the other options I've mentioned, but hey, there it is. Ionia, let's go. Already mentioned Cannon because he was in Bandle City as well. Bastion Disciple seems to be one of the better options. I'm looking through, like, there's a lot of recall stuff that can recall itself. Like if I even use it on the Morn, when they Nexus Strike, they immediately come back to the hand, so the Ephemeral will not trigger. So even if I were to do something like Ahri, like you kill 1 Ahri and then you attack and then you get 1 Ahri back into the hand, then you have to replay it, just seems goofy. But yes, the same thing I said with Cannon. There's other ways, like just using the 2 and then maybe bouncing both back to the hand. You could say the same thing about Dancing Droplet. You basically get that 1, but that's just a lot of mana that you have to use. So I'm not exactly sure if that's like any way good at all. Unless you have this other fun card where hopefully I get to it in a second. Shadow Assassin I like. And there it is, Solitary Monk. So like maybe in some way, shape, or form you make all these ephemeral units and then you bounce them back to the hand and like in an Ahri deck, and maybe, I don't know, doesn't seem too good to me. Ionia might be the weakest of them all. Kiku Wayfinder, the Allegiance one, could be, depending on what the 1-cost cards are. You guys know I love me some Spirit of Wuju. In a certain deck, this will immediately draw a spell for you, and this one can be played for a 3-cost depending on how your deck is built. So it could be on turn 3 you drop this and then make 2 copies of it, and then now you have 3 spells that are from your deck depending on how your thing is. This is me looking at a go hard deck, right? Could be something really spicy in my personal opinion. So could be cool, could be cool. What is it, draw 6? I don't even know why you would want to draw 6, but hey, the option is now there for you, right? Yeah, not many options in Ionia. Katarina is a decent option, just because she strikes and you go back, so you kill 1 Katarina to get 2 in hand. Now, having 2 in hand is not as good, because like you usually play 1, and you think one of them's gonna die, so then you play another one, unless you're trying to utilize the Death Lotus, right? Because you would get her champion spell in the process of doing that. There could be some implications for that, but I don't think so, honestly. Double Darius, I mean, this could end games, I'm just saying. That could end games. Like a nice game ender. Now, Scion is obviously one of the things that I think people are definitely looking forward to. When I'm discarded, why am I reading this? Now, what's important here is that when you discard or summon 35 plus power, so you don't even really need a discard deck to necessarily do this, but you could still do that and summon a bunch of power. But obviously, this is what people are thinking about. Last Breath, summon Scion the Return, which is a free rally, right? When you get summoned. So you would copy this Scion, you would soul cleave this Scion, And then with that Scion dies, you get, you get 2 copies of this one, right? So then you would attack with this one, boom, he comes at rally, you attack with this one and the other one, boom, attacks rally, you get another one. So I think Lucky Cat, I did a deck like this where you pretty much used like one of the Shadow Isles cards. So there's already a deck kind of archetype for it. So I do think that this you will see people soul cleaving their Scion, especially once it's leveled. So it's gonna be kind of nutty. There's so many, like, where are we at? We're kind of somewhere. We're getting there. It's pretty nutty though. It's pretty nutty. What you actually can do is kind of crazy. Now this one I like. Black Rose Spy. In a certain deck, this could copy many Viegos, but then again, you're probably winning at that point anyway. But when if Reputation is activated, when I'm summoned, transform me into an exact copy of the strongest ally that struck this round. So an exact copy, this will actually, since we already did the research, Black Rose would then transform into an exact copy of another unit, so the ephemeral will go away. She will not have ephemeral, so this would be an insanely good way of using that. Makes me want to try. Should I make a Reputation transform deck? Black Rose Spy in the building? I don't think so. Sounds stupid, but you know, what else doesn't sound stupid? And since we are in Noxus, let's talk about Burn. I do think that maybe it could make it aggro. It could make a crazy little super aggro deck that they probably weren't thinking. They're probably thinking like why I'm doing this video. Very cheeky, funny ways to do stuff. But what if it gives birth to like some crazy aggro decks by making the ability to copy some units like this or the other one cost, and you just like slam them into their faces? It might be kind of spooky. Just saying. I didn't want to mention Riven, but you know, the reforging, she also reforges, but maybe her reforged cards might be something too. You get the Blade of Exile might actually expedite some stuff. This is the worst one because the Allegiance procs only and benefits this card, so it's kind of trash. Crowd favorite OTK. Get 2 big guys depending on the board state. They're both gonna die, but that's a lot of power. It could be pushing through. Interesting. Ruin Reckoner. You would end up with a triple attack basically, depending on the unit that comes along with this. And that was a deck, right? I mean, it still is a deck. Noxus and Shadow Isles, and you would get 1 thing. So you use it like on Gwen, right? Use it on Gwen, and then you get 2 more, and these just sit in your hand. Then you use it, so Gwen gets to attack 3 times, each time getting the bonus of the Hollowed. Yeah. Yeah, this might be a problem. I'm definitely calling that as a problem right there. That might be one of the stronger decks. Or, like Scion could be in the deck, because Scion will benefit from the big units being... No, that's summon. That's not when they die. Sorry. That's not how that works at all. Leave me alone. Trifarian Assessor could be a lot of draw. A lot of draw going on there. Refill your hand, replenish. This one, Fallen Reckoner, same thing. Summon this, it dies, you get the other Risen Reckoner. When it gets summoned, you instantaneously make a couple cards not be able to block, and then this one also does the same thing. Could be a big heavy push here, especially in a hollow deck. So these, even though it's a 5-cost 3/2, could be a little bit bigger than that. So big stats, big attack, big stats. The Chad version. I want 4, no, not even 4 decimates. I want 6 decimates in hand. Captain Pharaon, I respect it. And just know. All right, we're in PNZ. I already mentioned Teemo as a cheeky thing, I guess. Let's see, what else do we have here? Also, I mentioned Heimerdinger already. The crystals! Fallen Feline. No, but it would be funny, right? Curious if it works on the Tyrion Sump work. I know we just did all the whole transform thing, but I assuming it wouldn't. No, yeah, no, it wouldn't. But it'd be a pretty big push of damage, though. Right, because when you, well, actually, no, the first one gets obliterated. Obliterate me, transform allied. It might work on the first one. The second one definitely would become... I really don't know. I really don't know about that one. But I'm not going to do the testing or something like that on that. Cunning Kitten would make, you get some draws out of that. The other 2 that get summoned get some draw. Not that bad, I think, in my personal opinion. Veteran Investigator, if you're, for your Teemo deck, your new and improved Teemo deck. Could be, that's basically a draw 3. They summon this and then they draw, then you summon 2 more, they keep drawing. Could be Teemo, Caitlyn, kind of a weird iteration deck, I guess. Now, I feel bad. I think it was Snooey that grant tech allies everywhere +1/+1 once you play. So when you play multiple copies of this, it actually permanently buffs all tech, so that's every single turret and stuff like that. I think he put it in a black flame, and I thought that was a pretty cool idea. I think it was Snowy. I could be wrong though. So this one is a pretty interesting one, but you do have to play one 6-cost card in order for that to trigger. Then you can duplicate by summoning it. So a little bit of a workaround, but still pretty good in my opinion. Insta-Neural level up. You didn't have the board space for it. But yeah, close to it though. Back alley barkeep, you know, because you want to terrorize people's thoughts and minds. Maybe this one. I missed a clump of wumps before, but clump wump here. Maybe like in a Victor deck, maybe. Probably not, but maybe. Now this type of allegiance is really good. You get some work maps, which if you don't know, it grants an ally elusive, so you could actually give something elusive and it stays that way. So I do like that. Solitude. And I don't know if I really need to go into Evelyn, because by the time I get to all the Runeterra champions, it would be a thing. But this one's pretty good, right? Because you have the one husk, and then you'll have pretty much on any of the husk generators. Most of them are in. There's one here, but yes, you would actually, which is kind of nuts, right? You would get 3 husk out there, and then something can eat all 3 of the husk, right? So like it's just. And these husks will have a lot of keywords. So Solitude would be really, really good. But then you do lose Solitude. But hopefully by then you're giving something, depending on the board state, but you're giving something at least 3 health and about 6 keywords. So I think that might be pretty insane, right? I think that would be pretty nutty. And that's pretty much it for PNZ. Now we are actually in the region. Shadow Isles itself. Now, of course, Callista's going to be one of the better ones, because if she's out in the field, you play 1 card, right? Or if 1 card's already out there, you use Soul Cleave on that unit that's not Callista, and those units attack first, she levels up. Boom. It's very easy to level up Callista. It's always been easy to level her up, but they just made it a little bit easier to do so. So I think that Callista, you might see some Callista decks running around. Maybe seeing something. I remember her thing is not followers, right? She can revive a oh no, it is a follower, so you have to. It's not a champion, but still pretty good. I think that this is still a pretty good, cool thing. It sucks that it only happens once per round, but it is what it is. Gwen, I already talked about Gwen, because yeah, like she can get multiple attacks off. Not necessarily using it on her, but you could use it on her and then have something else attack to the left. But she doesn't have overwhelm, but it would be a lot of damage if there's for some reason that they can't block it. If you use it actually Soul Cleave on Gwen, so there's 2 Gwens attacking, they both get the boost, the one on the left. And since it says I have dealt 10 damage, I think that they would count with each other. Gwen's leveled, maybe you have a way to revive her, not exactly sure. Kindred, not so much. Maokai, I spoke about Maokai, about in other cards that will help level up him quicker. Tossing and things of that nature. You can get a really quick Maokai flip, I think, with that card. I don't know if that was intentional, but I definitely think Maokai is the building. Thresh, oh baby, Thresh is definitely loving it. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, he's loving it. Very easy to see a bunch of units die when he's on turn 5, possibly when he first comes out, because you could play this on turn 5, use the card on something else, and then depending on what that unit does could be crazy. Or like I said with the other card, maybe you use it on something. Remember, this is the actual region, so this plus any other region that I mentioned so far, and I will in the future, could be huge. Could be huge. Definitely, Hecarim's gonna love it, especially if those ephemeral units are attacking. You know, Hecarim's like, thank you. Viego, it's yeah, Viego, not only was he sitting in the back before, now he's definitely sitting in the back. So yeah, Viego is definitely chilling for all of eternity. And I can mention all the hallowed units. Obviously, you can use it on them and accelerate your hallowed pretty quickly. Oblivious Islander, we've already spoke about that. Not on Oblivious Islander, but like getting cheap units out, right? Mist Wraith is decent to mention. When I'm summoned, grant another Mist Wraith, so that you start getting the Mist Wraith buffed up by a lot. Then you probably have ways to summon them again, so that could be a thing. Shark Chariot. A lot of people mention Shark Chariot. Obviously, because you kill this one, then these 2 die, then you have 3 attacking at each time. Could be kind of nutty. Sea Scarab, not on Sea Scarab itself. Then again, you could use it on Sea Scarab and then like let other things die in front of you, but other things dying and Sea Scarab seeing it again will accelerate toss like crazy. I do think that Deep vicariously did get a buff with that card. I think that card will definitely, you'll see some Deep decks kind of going crazy. definitely going crazy. Salter already in the deck, and this is what I was saying before. So like when you go Shadow Isles just to use Soul Cleave, and then you compare it with Evelyn, or I'm just basing it off Evelyn at this point. Evelyn Viego was a very popular deck, but now you could use it on something like this again on turn. I think you need turn 3 at least to do this. But there's a Husk. You kill Salter with the Soul Cleave. There's 3 Husk out there, and then you could then hope, you know, depending on the turn order, then drop Evelyn, then drop Viego, and then he has so many buffs, he's buffed up. He has so many keywords. Could be insane. I definitely think that's insane. Cameronian Soldier, same thing. You get pretty much 3 progression towards it, because when it summon it does it, then the other 2 will also summon Encroaching Mist. If Viego's out, he's gonna love it. He's gonna see it all. He's gonna level up really quickly. Dead Bloom Wanderer, again, Bilgewater and Shadow Isles. This one's tossing 3. The Dread Dredger's also tossing 3. This is toss 9. It's very quick acceleration. I'm just saying that's insane to me. And I don't know if anyone's thinking about it or talking about it, but that's insane. Phantom Pranksters, and I'll mention the Neverglade Collector as well. Pretty cool. Could be killing a lot. The Undying. Undying is pretty cool because it kills 1 and then it summons 2 that are going to die anyway. So then at that point, you'll have 3 Undyings on the board that are willing to be sacrificed for whatever, and they'll keep growing. And I do think that there's the Undying is a pretty good tech into that card as well. We also have Vora for the same reason. Again, multiple Husk generation, definitely buffing the Evelyn archetype. Even makes cards like this maybe seem a little bit reasonable. You know what I'm saying? Could make that a little bit more reasonable. Now, same thing what I said with the Mist Wraith. Wraithcaller would then summon, and this is within its own region, so you could run a mono Shadow Isles and get a bunch of Mist Wraith. Maybe Mist Wraith is the new cool thing, right? Maybe you run this guy, or the Mist Keepers. Just kidding. Neverglade Collector, cool. Now, Tortured Prodigy is a card that I actually like it a lot. What it could do, not sure if it will, but what it could do is that you let things die slowly 1 at a time, and then you use spell mana for each time. So like it's a hard to use it, but I definitely think it shouldn't be slept on. I did try to utilize it in certain decks, like something dies and then boom, every time something dies you can Black Spirit, whatever the spear is, Callista Spear thing. So I definitely think you gotta keep this card in your eyes, in your mind, right? Deathless Knight. Obviously, you kill that unit and then you summon 2 of them that are 6/6. So kind of cool, kind of but decent, especially if Callista, like I said, is leveled already. You keep getting Deathless Knights every time she attacks. Could be something. I don't think it's something crazy, but it could be something. Wraith of Echoes might like this a lot because for each allied copy of each ally that died this round, it would see. So this, you don't want to kill the Wraith of Echoes, but if it sees all that death, it would be obviously beneficial. And I do want to mention now that I'm with the Evasive Hydravine, right? So like you could also use it on the Encroaching Mist, right? Because then it would summon, kills 1, then it summons 2 other ones, and those things would be strong as well, kind of accelerating Viego and things of that nature. Or if you're using, and I think I flashed over it briefly, but what is it, Deserter, the Legion Deserter in Noxus would benefit from that too. He would get a lot of buffs, which would be pretty cool, right? Rekindler. Rekindler would kill itself and then summon 2 more other champions that have died already. So that could be a thing as well. Maybe as a one-off Terror the Tides, that'd be pretty hard to get around. -4 and attacking. I know this is the big buff region, right? Everything is big buffed. But yeah, still think it'd be a little bit, still think it could be done in a crazy way, maybe. Spectral Matron, I think also because the card that it summons, the exact copy of it, right? There could be some crazy implications with that. And then you can maybe duplicate the other card that you used, and could be kind of crazy. Almost done, ladies and gents. Now we're at Shurima. No, like I said in this video, if you guys have been kicking it with me this long, I thank you, appreciate you. You are the best. Akshan kind of helps out. That is a progression towards the thing. He does die in the process, so I don't think so. But maybe. Azir, no. I don't think so. Rek'Sai. Kind of interesting, right? Because you get 2 Rek'Sais attacking. Kind of boost up your alert deck by a lot. Maybe if you have multiple Rek'Sais or something like that. Interesting. I don't think it works though, but it is. Kai'Sa. Someone actually did mention this in the actual chat. I covered that. It was kind of interesting. They was talking about Kai'Sa OTK because Kai'Sa, you kill 1 Kai'Sa, you get 2 of them, obviously we're thinking about her being leveled, right? And you have to deal with 2 of those attacks kind of popping off at the same time. You do lose your Kaiser, so it's an all-in gamble. So you'd have to make sure that you had some way to protect your all-in. But if it works, it works, you know what I mean? So interesting, very interesting. Noxus I can kind of see, because like he could be so big that, you know, you kill it maybe, and then you have 2 big Noxuses. I don't know. That's all I got. Not much I have for that one, I'm sorry. Domination, same thing I've said about all the Husk users. But then this one will be giving +1 attack to all the Husks that are summoned out there. And then I think other ones will get +2, and then I think one would get and then +2 again, I think. So it's really good, obviously, if you use it on Domination. Endless Devout, obviously pretty good. You get a bunch of landmarks from that. Vagabond, decent, not that great. Xenotype Researchers, decent, not that great. Hero of Magus, pretty good. I actually did have a Shadow Isle Shurima deck that was based on landmarks. And yes, you could definitely get Hero of Magus out there, and then you would summon it +2/+2, then use the Soul Cleave, that's +4, Overwhelm on your Talia, death, that's what that is. Kahiri, yeah, you could do it, but you probably won't. So Clock Hand, maybe, all in, doubt it. The loveliness that is Targon. Targon I don't think is gonna have too much, because like they don't have, I think, super impactful stuff like that. The champions, I don't see anything. Blue Sentinel seems like to be a decent target because of the crest. Same thing with the ramping thing. You get a lot of ramp for the next turn, so could turn into something. So this one dies, right? Then this thing, the other one's in. So you get it's temporary buff. It is lower than the hunting boar, but you could play something. What's the earliest you could do? It's still turn 3 play that you would get this and then Soul Cleave it. But then on turn 4, again, you have 6 mana. So that's still a lot you could do in Targon. I'm thinking about just champions. This will be turn 5, honestly. So you could even drop down Kale, get Kale going. You could possibly play like Leona or the Raven Spear and then get that going. There's a lot of implications of that, but then you're still running Shadow Isles Targon. So there is that. Not the coolest of combinations, I would say, but it is a thing. I can make a decent argument for Zulani the Bloodweaver. If she got her turn lowered, and like I said, the other play, maybe there's a chance that you get her out early, and then you make a couple copies, and then maybe they get transformed into non-ephemeral copies because they copy a main unit one or something like that. Or because of all the other transform nonsense shenanigans that you're doing, maybe you level her up quicker, like get her empowered version out quicker. And then you get this one, and then maybe it's like, it's OTK, kill, it doesn't matter. So I could envision that. I could definitely see that. And then we have the Runeterra Champions. I'm just gonna briefly go over, like, I think you're not gonna use it on anyone, not even Evelyn, but I've already mentioned how it's really good for Evelyn. There's a ton of Husk generation with that. Jhin, not so much. Aatrox, only reason I can see is on Aatrox is that you could use it on him to temporarily get, if he's already evolved, and then you could play a bunch of free Darken. I guess that's the only thing I could see as far as him using a combo. Rise is actually kind of decent, right? Because Rise, Shadow Isles is already a thing with all the protective spells. You can use it on Rise himself in order to get like the summoned, get more Dells in the pass. So maybe to accelerate something. I guess that's all I can really see. And that's really it. We are an hour in of recording. I don't know. Let me know if there's any cards that I miss. I don't think that I did. But it was fun to go through every card, and I think that's how impactful the card is that there's so many decks that could be run, and with that card, that card alone, it just gives out. Like the other card, I'm not even gonna mention it. It's just a 7 cost kill all followers card. Like it's just, there's not much to it. But I do think that some of the things that I mentioned, there's gonna be so much implications, and I hope you guys enjoyed this long video. But it was for a good reason. It was for a good cause. Anyway, I'm out. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.